Deserts cover 1/3 of the Earth, and thanks to climate change, improving technologies, and the ability to reach places we previously never thought possible, we are now finding some very interesting things in the desert. It ranges from natural phenomena to ancient cities and everything in between. Get your hiking boots on, grab your sunscreen, and let's go exploring. These are the most mysterious discoveries in the desert. Number 19. This is no mirage. You know how the story goes. People are stranded in the desert and they eventually believe they're seeing waterfalls and pools of crystal clear waters. And that pretty much happened in an area of Tunisia where a lake just appeared out of nowhere. Except this time, it was real. The body of water wasn't small and spanned roughly 2.5 acres. This unusual happening was said to not be entirely healthy for those who choose to cool off in the waters, as the lake possibly stemmed from an underwater spring that got freed up by nearby mines. The chances of the lake being contaminated with carcinogens was very high, and some of them could also be radioactive. Despite that knowledge, the Tunisian government did not ban swimming in the lake. Would you jump in there? Number 18. Blame it on the fairies. The Namib Desert is home to some very strange and mysterious circular patches that have been dubbed fairy circles. They've been there for ages, and folklore surrounding the circles include divine intervention, spirits, dragons, and UFOs. You name it, it's been speculated. The circles are all different sizes, anything from 6 to 40 feet across, and they can remain there for up to 75 years each. A more logical explanation by scientists is that it's possibly sand termites, the patterns left by rainfall or the evaporation of water from the plants. So until we're told a definite explanation, it's much more exciting to speculate. Number 17. The land before time. Over in the Syrian desert, there are ruins believed to be older than the pyramids. This amazing city is located roughly 50 miles from the ancient city Damascus, which is young in comparison. It's believed this city could be anything between 6 and 10,000 years old, whereas the pyramids have only been around for 4,500 years. The city was discovered in 2009 by Robert Mason, who was working on a Syrian monastery nearby, when he noticed some unusual formation that grabbed his attention. He found interesting traps that would have been used to catch wildlife and stone tools, as well as tombs. Unfortunately, due to conflict in the area, not much has been researched, but when it's safe to do so, they're definitely going back. Number 16. Let's go shopping. In the middle of the Texas desert, be sure to have your credit card handy, because there you will find a random Prada store. It's a sculpture that was put up by artists Elmgrim and Dragset, and they wanted to see how this store would look miles and miles from civilization. The shelves were filled with Prada goodies, and the day after it was opened, it was robbed. The artists have it secured now, and their intent was to let the building decay naturally. But since Instagram, it's become quite the popular artsy destination, so it is maintained a little, although the stock inside still dates back to 2005. Number 15. But is it art? Somewhere in the desert of Adelaide in southern Australia is a rather large drawing. It was only discovered in 1988 and depicts a hunter carrying his stick. He's been called the Marie Man, and Bardias Goldberg said he drew it and wanted his drawing to be seen from space. However, there is nothing linking him to the drawing. The Marie Man is the largest geoglyph and work of art in the world, with lines measuring over 115 feet wide and a foot deep. There's some evidence pointing to Americans being responsible for the drawing, but it's not 100% confirmed. And until then, it remains a mystery. Number 14. Go for a dip, and by the time you reach the Utah evaporation pools, you'll be in desperate need of a swim. They look like they're fake from above, but there's nothing fake about them. They're full of potassium, which gives their vibrant color. Number 13. The search continues. You can imagine that the desert must hold some unbelievable treasures from years gone by, and one of the most exciting archaeological finds took place in the 20th century when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. Part of the findings was the Copper Scroll, and has been baffling people ever since. The Copper Scroll looks to be some sort of treasure map that reveals 64 locations where there should be tons of gold and silver. And do you think we've managed to find those treasures? Absolutely not. The Hebrew that the scroll is written in is different to the rest of the text found, and was more commonly used hundreds of years later than the text used in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which would probably indicate that it might be a fake. Number 12. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Over in the Sahara Desert is a megalith mystery thought to be 1,000 years older than Stonehenge, called Nabta Playa. There you will find a ring of standing stones, 5 rolls of slabs, both upright and fallen. Each stone weighs a couple of tons, and some are as tall as 9 feet. It's estimated the stones have been there for 6 to 6,500 years. It's believed the stones mark the summer solstice and potentially the rainy season. Number 11. Game On. Atari was a well-known company during the late 70s, early 80s, and in 1983 they produced thousands of copies of their new E.T. games, which turned out to be their biggest flop yet. So bad was the game that it's even been classified as the worst video game ever released. Yikes. Anyway, so Atari's warehouse were filled with these video games, and they decided the best way to get rid of them was to bury them in the desert, and there they lay until the discovery in 2014. All those games and consoles were perfectly preserved and fetched a lot of good money on eBay. Number 10. That's not very funny. As a rule, roadside motels are pretty creepy, and you can thank horror movies like Psycho and Vacancy for that. And then, do I even need to remind you of just how creepy clowns are? And again, horror movies haven't helped. Think It and Amusement for good examples. So right in the middle of the Nevada desert is a clown motel, and to make things more interesting, it overlooks a graveyard. Inside the motel, expect to find plenty of creepy clown dolls. Every door of the establishment has a clown painted on it, and in your dreams, all you will see is clowns. Number 9. Give me a hand. In Chile's Atacama desert, you'll come across a giant stone hand that looks like it's reaching out for help. It's called La Mano del Desierto, the hand of the desert, and was designed by Santiago sculptor Mario Mario Irarrázabal in 1992. The sculpture is often the victim of vandalism, which kind of ties it in with the meaning of the hand, human vulnerability. Number 8. Time to read. The last thing you'd expect to find in the Sahara Desert is an ancient library, but yet there it is. Located at the end of a dusty road in Mauritania is a near abandoned town that is slowly getting swallowed up by the sand. The little town is called Chiguti, and it used to be a medieval metropolis housing more than 20,000 people. It was also a meeting place for pilgrims making their way to Mecca. The town was filled with scholars of law, religion, science, medicine, mathematics, and even astronomy, and they had many libraries in the city. Today, there are still some of those libraries in amazing condition, holding up to 6,000 books, with many dating back to the 9th century. Number 7. Sands of Time. There's an extremely rare mineral which can only be found in the sands of Egypt. It's known as Libyan glass. The origin of the glass is a little uncertain, but some believe that 28 million years ago, a ginormous meteorite fell into the desert and the hot temperature melted the surrounding sand, which the wind then scattered all across the desert. Many believe the glass to hold a very powerful spiritual energy. Number 6. Nature showing off. We once again find ourselves in the Atacama Desert in Chile, and it's truly a remarkable place. You'd think that not much would grow there, but from time to time, the desert is covered with the most beautiful flowers, and it's called Desierto Florido, or the desert in bloom. This only happens every 5 to 7 years, and has something to do with El Niños. The weather is said to warm the coastal waters, and that brings a few showers onto the desert plains, and from there, millions and millions of colorful flowers start to bloom. Number 5. A place in the sun. Yardongs are vertical lumps of bedrock or compact sand that has been shaped by the wind. They usually appear in groups known as fleets. Number 4. All hot and bothered. In the desert, it's possible you might come across desert varnish. It looks like a thick tar that has formed on a rock face, and it's comprised of clay, iron, and manganese oxides, and it's roughly a micrometer thick. It comes in shades of orange, yellow, and black. So what causes this desert varnish? It's thought to be a combination of water, clay, microbes, and minerals interacting over long periods of time. However, not everyone is in agreement with that theory. The early Native Americans would cover large rock walls with desert varnish and use it as a canvas for their artwork. Number 3. It's alive! Living stones are actually plants that live in the desert, which, as the name suggests, look like stones, but they're actually alive. Their scientific name is lithops, or you can call them living pebbles, and they're usually found in southern Africa. They avoid being eaten by blending in with the rocks around them. Some look so authentic that it's kind of freaky when you see them flowering. Number 2. As dry as dust. This mysterious phenomenon is called desert pavement, and it looks like a beautiful paved pathway you'd find in someone's home, and not something you'd find in the desert. They take thousands of years to form, and it's the wind that's responsible for these beautiful stone pavements. These natural mosaic artworks are made by a process known as deflation. The wind blows layers of sand away, flittering the rocks down to make this unique surface. Number 1. Off the beaten track. It was August of 2014 when a hiker made a really incredible discovery: 125-million-year-old dinosaur tracks. The hiker was in the desert of Moab in Utah when he discovered the tracks. There was evidence of an ancient crocodile with his dragging tail etched into the hardened mud, as well as a three-toed meat eater. The area was open to the public in October of 2014. In total, they found over 200 tracks, and in one case, 17 consecutive prints of one kind of animal. Strangely though, despite all those prints, not a single bone has been found in the area. But the search continues. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos.